President Trump today announcing the largest deregulation move in U.S. history, revoking an Obama-era EPA ruling. Joining me now to discuss is our panel, Nicole Brener-Schmitz, Democratic strategist, and Kate Monroe, Republican strategist. Great to have you both with us. Kate, we'll start with you. This 2009 finding said that the carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases pose risk to public health. What does the research say about this, and has it changed since 2009?
Well, you know, the Earth and the world's been here a mighty long time, and I don't think that changes happen quite so quick as we'd like to imagine that they do. I think it's a little bit of a farce to say fossil fuel. Many studies have been done over the last decade or two to show that oil just replenishes itself all over the globe. I think a lot of that was made up for control by the left elite. So I'm glad to see that we're undoing this 2009 debacle. You know, they wanted a Green New Deal. How about the Green No Deal? And we go back to prospering in our nation and just back to common sense reality.
Kate, your response, and Nicole, your response.
I mean, look, I think Democrats are pretty disappointed with this. It was really interesting, though, to watch how the Trump administration did it this time, because instead of really focusing on the climate change element, which is what they had done in the past, trying to argue different points about whether climate change and how far it was going, they really just turned to the legal argument this time, focusing on, well, it should be congressional and that these need to be laws that go here. And so therefore we can roll it back. But I think what we can expect is a lot of battles in the courts coming up, as so many organizations, both environmental and places like the American Lung Association, have come out and said that they're going to challenge this.
Yeah, I mean, it's very likely we might see this going all the way up to the Supreme Court. Kate, could this overturning this so-called endangerment finding, as it's being labeled, help us stop perhaps playing into China's hands and gain more energy independence, perhaps?
I do exactly think that's why we're doing it. I think that President Trump is looking at how do we get our foothold back into that market, because China has absolutely been dominating it. The war between Russia and Ukraine, you know, put a damper and it sort of shifted the power there, that power dynamic. And if we can be a player again, I think that it's high time that we look to be doing that. So I think that was exactly the point of this, and he will succeed in it as he has on many other fronts.
EPA Administrator Lee Zeldin weighing in on the decision. Here's what he said.
If Congress didn't authorize it, EPA shouldn't be doing it. Congress never voted for these climate mandates inside of Section 202 of the Clean Air Act. If Congress wants EPA to regulate the heck out of greenhouse gases emitted from motor vehicles, then Congress can clearly make that the law, which they haven't done for good reason.
So, Nicole, if the EPA's 2009 endangerment finding was never explicitly authorized by Congress, how was it being able to be implemented and ultimately enforced?
Well, there's a lot of things that the administrations do, both Democrat and Republican, that aren't done through Congress. There's a lot of executive orders, a lot of things that presidents have their different cabinet secretaries enforce and work on. So, I mean, it's not unusual. That's not something that's partisan. That's something that both parties utilize when they're in the White House.
Kate, this is likely, as we mentioned, to face serious legal challenges, probably starting tomorrow. How strong do you think the administration's position is if this winds up in the courts, which it inevitably will?
You know, as a person who's had to be in and out of court, I'm a big business owner. I know that court takes a very, very long time. And I would just say, after investigating all the fraud, waste, and abuse in homelessness, in the rail here in California, it's clear to me that everything that the government touches where there is money to be made is most likely a grift. And there's been a lot of money made off of this, green initiative stuff that's been going on. They've been siphoning dollars off it for a year. So, of course, they're going to bubble up to the surface and try to claw back those dollars and those mandates and those things that they stood on to get very rich. But I think that he will stand firm here, and we will succeed, and we will get our dominance back.
Now, switching gears to ICE, it's now reducing operations in Minneapolis. White House Border Czar Tom Homan this morning in a press conference saying they've made over 4,000 arrests and that they've fixed some issues there. Here's more of what he had to say.
We don't want to see any more bloodshed. I don't want to see any more bloodshed. I pray every night for the safety of our law enforcement personnel and the safety of those in the community, whether you're here legally or illegally. I don't want to see anybody harmed. We're going to continue to enforce immigration law. That's what the American people voted for. But it has to be a priority of criminals.
So, Nicole, ICE not leaving Minnesota, they're, ratcheting down the surge. How do you view this development?
I mean, look, I think both parties are very clear that we agree that those who are the worst of the worst should be removed from this country. That's something the Democrats have said time and again. And he is correct. A lot of people in America voted on the issue of immigration. And it's very important to a lot of American people still today. But the concern, and what I think we're seeing overwhelmingly, is the tactics of ICE and how far it's gone. And are we violating people's civil rights? And who are they targeting when they are deporting a 5-year-old? And that is what you've seen communities protesting and having concerns about. And it was actually during a hearing that was happening in the Senate around Minnesota that Homan had this press conference. So I think it's a positive step. I hope that ICE continues to train their members, and I hope that we really focus on going after that worst of the worst and not what's been happening, because that is not what the American people voted for.
Kate, how does this fit into the bigger picture of the Trump administration's immigration priorities?
Well, I think that you're going to see them go from city to city wherever there is the most need. They're definitely, as they said, not going to stop enforcing this. I think that you're going to see a similar protocol no matter where they go. They're going to go in, boots on the ground in a storm and a surge and round up as many criminals as they can. And then they're going to pull back and sort of police that area as they move on to the next the next area. But it's interesting to talk about how we need more training for ICE and talk less about how we need to take a little bit more care of our public. We are riling them up on the media and getting them to go out and do things that they wouldn't otherwise do. We're weaponizing their ideologies, and it's a sad state of affairs when you see people lose their lives when really they should have been at home, not interfering with federal law enforcement trying to round up these criminals. We do more to try to protect criminals who are illegally here in our country than we do to go find 400,000 missing kids. I don't see people marching in the street over missing children, but criminals from other countries. Then we're going to burn buildings down. So maybe there needs to be a little bit of more of a lesson on the side of the civilians than on the side of ICE.
Kate Monroe, Nicole Brener-Schmitz, appreciate you both joining us. Thank you.